Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and today, my friends, I guess I might have a little bit of a contentious topic as we're talking about, is Dragon Ball FighterZ a pay-to-win fighting game? Simply put, there's arguments for it and arguments against it, and first, hey, let's go to character select screen. Now, before anything else, because I know your mind's racing a little bit here, yes, there are characters in the base game that are certainly plenty good, and there are characters that you have to pay for, DLC characters that certainly are not very good, let's put it that way. And at the base level, of course the game's pay to win, because if you didn't buy the game, you can't play the game. If you can't play the game, then you can't win, right? So on the base level, if you bought the game, then you paid the win, I guess is one way you could put it. Now, I've been seeing a lot of this ever since specifically Super Baby 2 launched. And while I don't think he's the strongest character in the game, I feel where this guy is definitely at the tipping point. Because while obviously not all the DLC characters are amazing, you know, a lot of them, they're pretty dang good, you know, and a lot of them have definitely held reigns of terror throughout various points of the game's life and the game's history. And with that said, I guess the main thing is just the quality of the average DLC character. All in all, is probably a bit higher than the quality of an average base roster character. I think that's very fair to say. There's definitely a lot of reasons for that, and we'll try to go over that in this video. But let's do, say, a quick comparison. So let's take a character like Frieza, base roster character. And when the game was coming out, Frieza was definitely the premier zoner, right? Or at least what he was supposed to be. You got a very workable basic ki blast, you got the big old projectile, and you got the pillars, and oh my god, how crazy are the pillars? Such a huge hitbox, oh my god, how could he not be the King Kong zoner of the game, right? And then you add, you know, stuff like, you know, the pizza cutters, all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, man, wow, Frieza, he's got to be the big zoner. And what happens? Well, the first round of DLC was Bardock and Broly. And what happens when Broly shows up? Broly, oh, here's the big super armored character, command grabs, all that kind of stuff, big normals. And he's immediately a better zoner than Frieza ever was, right? Just off the back of Stand S alone, you can aim it to deal with air stuff. Which, at the time, you know, was difficult to deal with air stuff. His base projectile is a lot better than Frieza's Circle Forward S, that's for sure, right? Because Broly knocks back basic ki blast while doing it, and it's armored to boot. So the first DLC comes around, and the guy who's supposed to be, you know, your equivalent of like anime Zangief comes out, and he's a better zoner than Frieza ever could be. And then, of course, now we roll around to modern day. Hey, we got Super Baby. And Super Baby's got an awesome basic ki blast with boomerang properties. He's got the acid rain stuff. He's got forward S, which like always boomerangs no matter what. His Dragon Punch also shoots returning projectiles. He's really good at basic projectiles and just the projectile game as a whole. And of course he has like a stock beam and all that stuff too as well. And then we just kind of roll back around the basic old Frieza and you think, huh, right? Like, if you had the idea, and I know obviously Dragon Ball FighterZ not really a game where zoning's huge, but if you had that idea as a game plan, then you're absolutely better served with Super Baby or Broly in the end, right? Versus this base roster character. Now, is this to say Frieza needs buffs? Yes, of course. Oh my god, are you crazy? Yes, Frieza needs buffs. Absolutely, right? But this is just one example where you got a character who had they tried to have a defined game plan, and here comes the DLC characters and they just kind of poop all over it. Of course, before we go any further with our argument, once again, the base roster isn't necessarily bad, right? Like, take a team like this is all base roster characters. I think this is a pretty dang good team myself. This is a team that can do a lot of stuff between just Kid Buu always being Kid Buu, Gotenks being one of the secret best characters in the game, and people are finally starting to realize it, and Anchor Yamcha always being incredibly solid. But I guess you could say the main thing is a lot of the DLC characters, especially recently in Season 3, are just so much more inventive. They can do so much more than a base roster character. And once again, not to say certain base roster characters don't have a lot going for them, but like, you take the last 3 DLCs, right? You take Ultra Instinct Goku, you take Master Roshi, and you take Super Baby 2, and these guys are just and possibly more dynamic and interesting than the base characters for the most part. So just to start with UI Goku, like, what's there even to say? This character, even more than GT Goku, is like the single most definition of what this game is nowadays, right? The second he came out, UI Goku took the reins of the game, and honestly, I don't think he's ever gonna let go as long as this game is still an ongoing concern. This game, in a lot of ways, revolves around Ultra Instinct Goku, and why wouldn't it? Like, look at this guy. Like, what can't this character do for the most part? Like, just say the wake-up options. He has way better options than a normal character because he has more options. Yeah, he can wake up with an invincible reversal, and very few characters already get to do that. It's not a common trait in this game. And unrestrained will is a whole other stack of potatoes because, like, I can unrestrained will and just do it, right? I can do it into a super. I can do it into, like, my counter super as well if I want to do that, which has a whole different set of timing to deal with all that. And, you know, on top of the usual amount of wake-up options we get, then all of a sudden, he's just scarier to knock down than the average character. And then, you know, you just compound it, right? Good ki blast, he's got beams, he's got the old counter state here, which no one else has anything even remotely like. He's a character that can dump additional bar, which once again is a rarer trait in this game. The level 2 matters a lot because it's just a way to get more damage, and it's an option, you know, not many other characters get, but then, you know, Master Roshi's another character can get it, right? But yeah, like, I don't want to just break down the character. You guys know at this point what this guy's all about. What I'm trying to say is, you take, you know, UI Goku, and then you just compare him to, like, the base roster, and you gotta think, like, wow, you know, he can just do so much more than a lot of these guys can do. And then we got Master Roshi, and Master Roshi is almost like a test case for like a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2 character, because his mechanics are so different than the rest of the cast, and he's got so much going on for him. Oh man. Like, yeah, I know the no super dash thing sucks, I guess, and that's a little difficult for some people, but when you just look at the overall tool set this character has, it's beyond most of the cast. And then, you know, Super Baby 2, all that kind of stuff. And now we switch over to these other guys. Yo, this is some of the biggest terrors of the game's history. GT Goku, DLC character. How about Bardock? Bardock basically ran the game for like a year and a half, right? And then, you know, whoa, Broly. Broly's only been getting more and more relevant as the years go by because he's just really good. And all these characters are all DLC characters, right? And I think that's the thing. And I think that's kind of where we're at with this. It's not so much people say it's pay to win just purely on you have to take the new characters, because you obviously don't. Although it certainly helps. It certainly helps, right? But it's just, especially as the game goes forward, a lot of these DLC characters are just more fun, more inventive, more options, more things to do than a lot of the base cast. So, like, you, as a consumer at home playing this game, that's exactly what you want, right? You want new fun characters that can do a lot of things that are outside of the usual milieu of what the characters can do, and that's exactly what we're getting. But, especially in the UI Goku case, that became the dominant factor of the game because you can do so much, why wouldn't you use them? In the end, is the game actually pay to win? Well, in my opinion, no, not really. You can definitely build a strong top-tier team without having anyone from the DLC end of the thing, right? You just have the base roster characters. As long as you're willing to pick Kid Buu and Gotenks, you'll do pretty good for yourself. But yeah, I just think the argument is that DLC characters are getting stronger and more interesting than the base cast, and is definitely creating a disparity in that way. In the end, the only real pay to win is, hey, you gotta buy the game. And if you don't buy the game, then you don't get to play, then you don't get to win. But that said, my friends, I've been seeing this argument again just basically since Super Baby 2 came out, and I know it's still on some people's minds, so let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And other than that, my friends, I guess we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.